Welcome to the Rock Fight, where we speak our truth, slay sacred cows, and sometimes agree to disagree. This is an outdoor podcast that aims for the head. I'm Colin True, and today we're bringing you the second conversation that we had at GOA Connect last month. Today, we're taking a look at the unique story of Eagle Creek. But before we get to that, on Monday, I told you we were going to be running an episode short this week. Well, I guess I was lying to you, because this Friday, we're going to have a very special conversation for the 4th of July. Legendary outdoor journalist Kristen Hostetter will be here on the Rock Fight to talk about fireworks and the environment. And lastly, please make sure you're following the Rock Fight in open container on your favorite podcast app. If you're an Apple Podcast listener and you leave us a written review, then you send a screenshot of that review to myrockfight@gmail.com. We'll send you a whole bunch of stickers. A whole bunch of Rock Fight stickers. Okay, stick around. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Rock Fight, Rock Fight, Rock Fight.
In the store aisles, a quiet revolution is happening. With Endeavor, frontline staff aren't just selling products, they're building trust, making connections, and turning browsers into loyal customers. Let's see how. He didn't know which brand he wanted, just that the trail ahead was rocky. But she knew, because she'd trained for this moment right on her phone. A quick conversation, a confident recommendation, and a perfect fit hiking boot later, he's ready for his trip. That's right, she's a
Shop floor hero.
It may be lunchtime, but between sandwich bites, he learned about fog fighting tech and snow goggles. An hour later, that knowledge helped a customer pick the perfect pair and add a helmet too. Learning on the go, selling with certainty, adding value. Yup, he's a
Shop floor hero.
Endeavor is a mobile-first platform that equips retail staff with training, incentives, and tools to boost sales and brand engagement. Brands gain insights, sell-through improves, while retail associates stay motivated. Ready to get started? Just head to endeavor.io, update your brand profile, and upload your dealer list to access the free features, and when you're ready, launch your first pay-as-you-go campaign. With flexible, scalable options, Endeavor turns everyday interactions into strategic wins. The result?
Be a shop floor hero. Endeavor's here to stay. Shop floor hero. Sell through is the way.
Don't let our big-time production value and celebrity names fool you. Looking at you, producer Dave, but Rockfight LLC is a small business and growing brand. And even though we have our own consigliere, he advises on other matters, we've got to consult a lawyer every now and then on the legal structures that every business needs. But for a small business like ours, the cost to hire general counsel or pay a retainer is a non-starter. So what's an outdoorsy founder to do? I mean, come on, we're not flashing that outside money. Enter Conatus Counsel. They can help your business with fractional general counsel and legal services, from strategy consulting to advocacy and government affairs to real-world implementation for outdoor recreation industry businesses. Forrest over at Conatus Counsel has helped Rockfight navigate some of these areas, and let me tell you, knowing someone has your back means you can focus on running your business. I mean, he had at least 3 edits to this read to, quote-unquote, protect us from ourselves. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Forrest cares just as much about the outdoors and the outdoor industry as our listeners. So, got questions? ConatusCounsel.com to get in touch with Forrest. The first 6 hours are free. Wait, what? What? I can't say that? Oh, initial consultations are free. Okay, fine. Founder-led brands and the founders themselves are something we talk about a bunch here on the Rock Fight. Small up-and-comers are usually the brands that are true to the mission of why they exist in the first place, and also are the brands most likely to be driving innovation in the outdoor industry. But what if you purchased a brand that had already existed for 50 years from a corporate entity that owned several of the biggest names, not just in the outdoors, but in fashion and apparel in general? Putting yourself in the scenario of having the same role and purpose as other founder-led brands, but under an entirely different set of circumstances. Well, that's the spot that Travis Campbell found himself in after he purchased Eagle Creek from VF. So when Eoin Comerford and I were looking at people we could sit down with while attending last month's GOA Connect show in Reno, we made some time to hang out with Travis and learn a little more about what it was like to go through that acquisition process, where Eagle Creek sits now, and how the brand is poised to respond to the current challenges in the outdoor marketplace. So welcome back to the Rock Fight. Here is our second conversation that we recorded at GOA Connect. And today, Eoin Comerford and I sit down with Travis Campbell from Eagle Creek. All right, well, joining Owen and I today at GOA Connect is Travis Campbell, the owner and CEO of Eagle Creek. Welcome to the show, Travis.
Thank you. Appreciate being here.
Yeah, we told, it's still honorable, but you're the second ever in-person interview.
Oh, holy cow.
Missed it by one. He was here a minute ago.
Okay.
So
Always
congrats.
second place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This in-person thing is kind of cool, but it's also kind of freaking me out. I'd like to see you in a screen right now. It'd be more normal to me.
I'm a different size in a screen, ultimately.
Have you had a lot of, after 5 years of Zoom calls, holy shit, you're really tall?
For sure. Yeah. It's like I had no idea you were that tall.
To the listeners, Travis is a starting center for the, where are you guys based out of?
Steamboat Springs.
Oh, there you go. The Nuggets. You're going to buy.
Yep.
Jokic is out. Travis is in.
Next man in.
There you go. So, look, you're obviously known most for buying Eagle Creek from VF during COVID. I think other people were watching Tiger King and stuff during COVID. You bought a brand from a behemoth company. So you do you. But as we record this as GOA Connect, a trade show where last night we had a marketplace full of founder-led brands, and in the room today there are plenty of independently owned brands. All of them probably started as an idea that became a product and a brand, and now here we are at a trade show, right? You bought a brand that was originally founded 50 years ago, and you bought it from one of the biggest companies in our industry. So I just want to start with, do you view yourself as a founder, as any other founder? I mean, is that even possible given what you do?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say no. I never, in a lot of ways, I never intended to be a founder. I never intended to start my own brand.
That sounds very founderish.
Yeah, maybe true. You got me. No, I built my career around running businesses for other people in a lot of ways, and so I have a very entrepreneurial family, and I always said my siblings always start businesses, and they want to get out of them as soon as they need an HR department or something like that. And I've always felt the exact opposite of I like trying to take businesses and making them better, not necessarily starting from scratch. And so, I think at the end of the day, I'm a pseudo founder at this point, I guess.
Okay.
Or maybe a reluctant founder, I'll call it.
Can you take us through that decision-making process? Because it was interesting, VF had announced that they had planned to basically wind down the brand, and I'm not sure if they had tried to sell it or not, or where they were in that process. But then, you step up and say, no, I'll take it. So can you take us through that decision process? Was there a lot of conversations around the kitchen table at home, and how did it all ultimately come together?
Yeah. It is at some level an interesting story. I was at VF at the time, and I had made the decision actually before the Eagle Creek announcement was made that I was going to leave VF, and I had evolved into a role where I was kind of I call it a senior bureaucrat, and didn't intend to ever end up in that spot as a profession, and so I made the decision to leave. I really wanted to get back to running a brand. That's what I'm most passionate about. And then right in that window came the decision to get rid of Eagle Creek. And it was not though like a 1 + 1 = 2. I'm going to go try and peel this brand out. Certainly took a lot of feedback from the industry when that announcement came out. A lot of people were pretty unhappy that Eagle Creek was going to potentially go away. Took a fair number of unhappy phone calls, and
because you were running the brand at the time.
Well, I wasn't. I was running a portfolio of brands, and Eagle Creek was one of those where the head of Eagle Creek reported up into me.
Gotcha.
I guess just for clarity, and so I was starting to explore what kind of jobs I could find in the industry. As I said, I wanted to be a president still or a CEO, but I also wanted to stay in Steamboat Springs, which is where I lived with my family. And so you start to come to the realization pretty quickly that there's not that many CEOs of outdoor industry jobs in Steamboat. I was sort of understanding I was going to have to travel. My kids were seniors or late in high school. And that wasn't sounding awesome. So honestly, one night, I think I was both complaining about the fact that we were going to shut Eagle Creek down, and I was complaining to my wife that I was going to have to travel for work most likely. And she looked at me and she's like, "We should make a play for Eagle Creek." And
wow,
like any good husband, my first reaction was like, "That's the worst idea ever." like that won't work. This and that, and all these reasons, right? And like any good husband, I woke up the next morning. I'm like, "Holy cow, she's right." And so pretty quickly, put together an offer to the team at VF, and I would say to their credit, they very quickly recognized that my offer was better than their alternative of trying to wind it down. Winding down I call it an OG outdoor brand that has a lifetime warranty associated with it is not as easy as it may seem. And so our offer to carve it out and take it private again, like I think was a good, clean exit for VF. And they pretty quickly realized that they should be supportive of that. And ultimately then were great about helping us peel it out. I think one of the things that's really cool about VF broadly, or the individuals within VF, is they really do care about the brands. Like, people loved Eagle Creek. They weren't thrilled that it was going to potentially go away, and we presented a solution to that. And so the team at VF was great about trying to help us get it out and get it on its feet and get it standalone
Well,
again.
ultimately, you did them a favor, because now you get to wind it down and deal with all those headaches if you decide to do that.
Totally, right? If I screw it up, then I just have
Dude,
delayed.
this guy, get out of jail free card.
Yes.
Sure, Travis. Yeah, man, good idea. We'll help you get going.
Exactly. They're not dumb people.
Nah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how it went down. When times are challenging, I look at my wife and I'm like, "You did this to us."
You got your own get out of jail free card, right?
Totally.
Yeah,
And when things are great, I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm really smart. I know exactly what I was doing all the way along."
I just had to sleep on it.
Yeah.
Well, let's ignore our current tariff situation for a second, because so 2021, you buy the brand,
Yep.
right? And then let's go back a few months, and we're heading into 2025. You're going into your fourth year. What at that time were you anticipating for Eagle Creek for this year? Because I mean, that's all the things you just mentioned. That took time. Even after post acquisition, you had a lot of work to do. I'm sure to kind of what's the vision for it, what's the product range, all that stuff.
Yep.
I imagine 2025 feels like that was going to be all right. Here we go, guys.
Yeah, we're finally going to hit our stride.
Yeah.
I mean, part of carving it out of VF was a belief that travel was going to come back, and we'd get through COVID, people would get confident again, and for sure we saw that. So 2022, 2023, to a degree, 2024 were great growth years for us. Like travel was booming, we were booming right along with it. Actually thought maybe we knew what we were doing. Then comes 2025, and we expected travel to moderate just because the great times can't go on forever, and a lot of that revenge travel people had done. And so 2025 we had if I remember correctly, high single-digit global growth plan. And it felt attainable, like all growth plans do, like maybe a little crazy, but also attainable. And then we hit tariffs.
Right.
And frankly, even a little bit before tariffs, I would say, we were doing things from an immigration standpoint as a country. We were doing things to I'll say, scare the globally traveling consumer. And so we started to already see some shakiness, and then tariffs came and for sure sent shockwaves.
So, I think within the outdoor industry, there's, a lot of conversation about sort of the ups and downs of demand, right, over the last whatever, really but the travel industry can kind of say, hey, outdoor industry, hold my beer, because it's been up, down, and sideways, right?
Yeah.
How do you see the travel segment shaping up over the next few years? So let's say we get past a little bit of the travel or the tariff issue right now. How do you see it maybe playing out over the next 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, I am still very much long travel. And what I mean is, you look at COVID or the pandemic, however you want to call it, and I think what that proved to us is that consumers, not just American consumers, but global consumers, want to go out and experience the world. People want to travel. It's in our DNA. We fundamentally believe it's important for us as a species, frankly, on a whole bunch of levels. Like, you travel and you realize we're way more common than we are different, and we need that more than ever in the world. So I think it comes back, right? Like, travel has had a bunch of these pseudo existential moments where pandemic, right? Is anybody ever going to get on a plane again? Right. Turns out people are going to get back on a plane and go crazy. They're going to travel like crazy. And so I continue to believe that people will prioritize that over time. It does go up and down. You know, Steve Barker, Steve and Nona founded Eagle Creek 50 years ago. One of the things Steve told me when we were taking over the business, he's like, travel is boom and bust, right? Like there are really scary moments in the travel industry because it can go to zero. You know, after 9/11, it went to zero. 2008, 2009, you know, big financial shocks, people deprioritize travel at some level. So it's a roller coaster ride, and our roller coaster has just been particularly steep in both directions between the pandemic and now these kind of tariff and travel shocks that we're feeling.
And for Eagle Creek, how much of your business is North America versus Europe or international?
Yeah, it's about 65% North America, 30% Europe, kind of traditional Europe, and then whatever's left, 5-10% rest of world.
We're recording this on June 9th, so the latest travel ban went into effect this morning. Is that, are you able to pay attention to those sort of weird, like, political developments? I mean,
yeah.
You know, or is that like look, that stuff's going to happen, especially with the administration we have, and we'll react to how we react when we have to react to it?
No, I mean, regrettably, we do pay attention to it, and we're in a mode of being very reactive, unfortunately, right? We don't get a lot of signals on what's coming with this administration. The travel ban is a tough one. We were just, for full disclosure, internally, we were talking about this last week when I think it first got announced, or I'm losing track of days, to be honest.
Well, they're busy taking over Los Angeles today, so,
right.
You know, it's easy to kind of forget what's going on.
True. I don't even know that I can laugh about that.
Right. Good point.
So, you know, one of our core values is that travel is a force for good. You know, back to my little speech about, you know, we're better as a species when we're traveling. And so that idea of banning travel wholesale, rather than banning the bad people, just assuming that everybody from each of these countries is a bad person and thus should not visit the U.S., sort of antithetical to what we believe as a brand. And so our question was like, do we need to be public on this as well, right? Like, we've been public on tariffs, we've been public on public lands. Like, is this now the third leg of the stool that we've got to go fight about?
And this is in your wheelhouse, right?
And this is in our wheelhouse, right? Maybe, you know, I wish tariffs weren't in my wheelhouse. And this is ultimately, you know, one of those that's more in my wheelhouse. And so we actually don't have a plan, you know, in all candor, right? And but it feels like something we need to be talking about. Like, you know, we don't want to be divisive. We don't want to be poking the bear. We want to be talking about what's good and why it's good and why people should be supporting it. And, you know, we just haven't found that voice quite yet for how to do that publicly.
Let's talk about product for a second, right? So, because thank you for that.
Yeah,
I mean, I
course.
appreciate you being honest about that. I mean, it's what are you going to do? Every day it's something different. So appreciate that. When you do look at the line now, right, when you look at how things have changed probably since even Eagle Creek has entered the marketplace, and your competitors like the North Face and Patagonia and folks like that who have luggage and they're kind of become almost known for their luggage in addition to everything else that they're known for.
Yep.
You know, how do you approach that? You know, is there brand loyalty that you have or that they have, you know, because of the different things that you offer or they offer? Like, the competitive landscape, I guess, is kind of crazy when you kind of step back and look at it now versus where it used to be.
Totally. Way more competitive today. You know, one of the things I think I've seen in the time that we've been involved with Eagle Creek is, you know, the outdoor industry was challenged. So, right, the boom of COVID and then the bust post-COVID, and there was a window of time where the bright spot was travel. And brands are smart; they see opportunity, and a lot of brands had little aspects of their assortment that had some travel in it. And a lot of those brands in that window where travel was booming and outside or outdoors was a little bit down, emphasized travel assortments and built a lot of those. And so those showed up in fall 24 and spring 25. And if you walk the show right now, you're going to see a lot of rolling bags that didn't exist 2 years ago from a variety of brands. And so, you know, we're kind of in a moment where travel's slowing down for the reasons we just talked about, and you have the competitive landscape with people bringing a lot of new product from brands that aren't necessarily known for travel. So what does that mean? You know, at some level, we rely on our heritage. You know, the advantage of being 50 years old is we're pretty well known globally. And so we know how to build product. We know how to build product that lasts. We have loyalty with our existing consumers. One of the blessing and curses of Eagle Creek is we build products that last a really long time, though, right? So our rebuy cycle is really long. So we have to find new reasons for people to buy from us or new consumers to expose to the brand at the end of the day.
Liz and Royal Robbins were known as American climbing royalty, part of the first group of Yosemite-based climbers that would scale routes yet unclimbed, who would promote the ethic of clean climbing, and who, with a core group of startup brands, would serve as the foundation of our modern outdoor industry. From their very first pair of shorts that could boast a true climbing functionality, Royal Robbins has become synonymous with comfort, versatile wear for the modern adventurer. From Rockcraft Productions coming spring 2026 to a specialty store near you, Royal Robbins presents Being Royal Robbins. It's the story of how the Royal Robbins men's desert pucker became an icon and spawned the new Camino pucker. And it's the story of how an innovative brand launched mosquito protection technology to keep you protected without the use of chemicals, and why the Salif hoodie is possibly the most unique hoodie in our outside world. And how you can experience this uniquely American story of adventure through the thoughtful clothing choices of Royal Robbins. Available for streaming everywhere you find actual water-based tributaries. Being Royal Robbins, because nature and adventure are good for the soul. Oh, this is DJ CT, and welcome back to Rockfight Radio, where today we're excited to share with you guessed it, the latest from Fitz. Here's a little taste of Fitz Like You, exclusively independent.
You don't know, past the highway signs and the mountain snow. There's a little shop with a wooden door, been keeping locals geared since '84. They sell grit, they sell gear that lasts, and a socket don't quit when you're moving fast. Fits on the shelf, fits for the bold, not some big box store. You've been sold. We're exclusively independent, yeah, we ride for the few, not the cheapest, just the realest. Knit tight for what you do. For the towns that keep the trails that drive, and the rebels keeping dreams alive. Fit stand tall in the shops that care. If you want it real, you'll find us there. Fit.
Check out all of the hits from Fitz on their Spotify playlist, and now, back to the show.
So we're here at GOA Connect, which is an independent outdoor specialty show. If you look at some of the trends within outdoor specialty, we have seen those shops leaning more towards lifestyle, right? And more towards what I would call crossover products. And in some ways, travel falls in there. And I'm seeing that in some outdoor specialty stores where maybe the pack wall is changing and it's a little bit less expedition pack, a little bit more travel.
Travel pack, yeah.
Is that an opportunity for Eagle Creek in the future?
It is for sure. And I try and, I guess I would say, during the pandemic, most retail, both small and large, really shrunk their travel assortments for obvious reasons, right? Just people were not buying rolling luggage during the height of the pandemic. Post-pandemic, we've had a few retailers really re-embrace travel, but in aggregate, not at the level before the pandemic. And so I feel like one of my main roles in the world is to be sort of the Pied Piper of the opportunity associated with travel. Back to this idea of people are going to prioritize travel. We're in a world right now where it's actually really hard to find wheeled luggage at retail at any level of scale or any level of depth of an assortment. And so everybody that walks in our booth, I'm like, how many wheel bags do you have on your floor? Like, you need to have more because consumers want to touch and feel this stuff. And It's not always wheeled luggage. It might be wheeled duffels. It could be travel packs. It could be, people, the evolving consumer. Every consumer that's in the active outdoor space or the active lifestyle space travels at some level. And so serving that market at some way, at some level of depth, I think is just an opportunity for people.
So last thing really to touch on, like we've said multiple times, we're at the show. How do you view the current industry event scene, right?
Yeah.
So this is a really, like Owen mentioned, this is a very specialty focused show.
Yeah.
Everyone's here. It's a really interesting, unique show. But, what's important to Eagle Creek? We've got some big shows coming up. We just had a bunch of regional shows. Like,
Yeah.
what do you guys value?
Yeah, I mean the show world is really fragmented right now. And the shows that I think are thriving are generally very sales oriented shows. So certainly GOA. I mean, you look out at the show floor, booths are full. A lot of vibrancy, specialty markets, I think, doing reasonably well. Right, it's not boom time, but the actual show aspect of serving the specialty outdoor market, I think, is doing quite well. GOA does a great job with their show. I think those regional rep shows are all generally thriving because they're very efficient for retailers to write orders at the end of the day. For me, having come up in a world where there used to be an incredibly vibrant national show called Outdoor Retailer. I think we all know where that sits today, regrettably, I'll say. And I feel very acutely the lack of that national show. And not because, I need that national show to write a bunch more business. Like in the moment, right? We don't need another writing show, in my opinion. We've got lots of those at this point. What we need are brand building shows and industry building shows. And that invites a larger audience at the end of the day than what these more sales oriented shows create. And so I've talked to people and I try to articulate this industry flywheel that comes from the energy of a big national show. And it's, letting people see small and medium-sized brands on the same platform as the big brands and in a more welcoming environment that allows people to sort of casually explore them in a way. And I think that's super important for creating this platform that helps small and medium businesses become medium and large businesses at the end of the day and helps retailers find new brands that they wouldn't see in a pipe and drape show, as an example. And so, and I think there's other aspects of that, whether that's industry cohesion that's really important, right? Our industry is fragmented, lots of smallish brands that when we come together we're quite powerful, right? We've proven that over time, but post-pandemic, post-large, healthy national show, we're just not as organized as we should be or could be when we talk about sustainability or public lands or tariffs or those things. And so I guess long way of saying, apologize for the length of that. It's okay. It's one of my soapboxes, as if you can't tell. We need a healthy national trade show again. And I'm a big believer in that.
Right on, man. Well, we'll see. Look, by the time this comes out,
we'll know,
we'll be like,
right?
My God, Travis was right. Or God, that guy Travis, man, he blew that one.
Which would not be the first time.
Right. Well, you can just blame it on your wife, I think. Right?
Totally.
Is that what we established earlier in the conversation,
right?
Well, we'll see. We appreciate you spending some time with us at this show. And, good luck to everything. And let's make sure we chat again in the future.
Thank you. Yeah, happy to do it.
All right, that's the show for today. Come back to the Rock Fight this Friday for my conversation about fireworks with Kristen Hostetter. The Rock Fight's a production of Rock Fight LLC for Eoin Comerford and Travis Campbell. I'm Colin True. Thanks for listening. And here to take us out, he's on tour right now. He's going to be in my town pretty soon. I hope I get a chance to see him. It's Krista Makes with the Rock Fight fight song. We'll see you next time, Rock Fighters.
Rock